The internet erupted in chaos when a mysterious audio file began circulating late last night, an alleged leaked recording involving Sam Heughan and members of the Outlander production team. No one knew where it came from, who had posted it first, or whether it was even legitimate. But within minutes, it spread across Twitter, Reddit, Discord, and fan communities like wildfire. The recording was grainy, distorted, and incomplete, but one sentence stood out clearly. So clearly that fans replayed it over and over in disbelief. "He needs to change the Scottish angle. It's too raw, too regional. We need something more marketable." The fandom froze. Sam Heughan, forced to change his iconic Scottish image? It was unthinkable. That image wasn't just part of his identity. It was the reason millions fell in love with Jamie Fraser, the Highland culture, and the world of Outlander. The idea that someone behind the scenes wanted him to dilute or reshape that identity felt like a betrayal, not only to Sam, but to Scotland itself. As more people listened to the audio, additional fragments emerged. A different voice, calmer, older, mentioned that international audiences might not connect with the intensity of Sam's accent or his traditional mannerisms. Another speaker suggested adjusting his public persona to be less region-specific, hinting at changes to everything from interviews to promotional appearances. Fans who had adored Sam's authenticity were stunned. Was this the reason he seemed unusually polished during early press tours? Was this why some interviews felt rehearsed? What made the situation even more explosive was the timing. Sam had recently made several comments in interviews about the pressures he faced in the early days of the show, subtle hints about creative disagreements, marketing strategies, and identity struggles. Fans had assumed he was speaking generally, but now those comments seemed like clues that something deeper had been happening all along. The leaked recording suddenly reframed everything. Social media exploded with rage and heartbreak. Scottish fans, in particular, were furious. Hashtags like #LetSamBeScottish and #RespectHighlandIdentity trended worldwide. Comment sections filled with outrage, disbelief, and demands for answers. Many felt that Sam's heritage had been weaponized, not celebrated, by executives who didn't understand what it meant to the story or to him personally. It wasn't just about an accent. It was about history, culture, pride, and representation. Fans also began pointing out old interviews where Sam looked unusually tense while discussing authenticity and cultural portrayal. They revisited press clips from the first few seasons, highlighting moments when he hesitated before answering questions about his Scottish identity. Some noticed how he often emphasized that the show was a responsibility and a massive cultural representation. At the time, those statements felt like genuine humility. Now, they sounded like coded messages. The conspiracy theories grew even wilder when someone claimed the recording referenced early season character notes suggesting Sam should appear more accessible, a phrase many believed was code for less Scottish. Others speculated that the production feared international audiences wouldn't fully understand or connect to deep Highland culture, so they attempted to tone it down through Sam's public persona. Whether true or not, the speculation alone fueled the fire. But the most shocking moment in the recording came toward the end. A voice, allegedly one of the higher executives, said something that made fans' hearts drop. "If Sam refuses, we'll have to reconsider how we market him. He needs to cooperate, or there will be consequences." That single sentence ignited a full-blown scandal. People demanded to know. What consequences? Was Sam threatened? Pressured? Manipulated into portraying a version of himself that wasn't true? Some fans insisted they knew something had been off for years. Others rejected the idea entirely, believing Sam would never let anyone control his identity. The fandom fractured into debates, each more intense than the last. Meanwhile, entertainment journalists began contacting Stars, Sony, and major Outlander producers, asking for statements. None responded. The silence only fueled the panic. Within an hour, Scottish news outlets picked up the story and condemned the idea that any actor should be pressured to soften cultural authenticity for international appeal. National pride surged. Commentators argued that Outlander succeeded precisely because of its unapologetically Scottish roots. Why would anyone try to change that, especially by forcing Sam, the face of the franchise, to comply? And just as the outrage reached its peak, a new rumor surfaced online. Someone claimed Sam himself was preparing to address the leak. Not through PR, not through a studio-approved statement, but directly, in his own words. The entire fandom held its breath. Because if Sam was finally ready to speak, then the truth behind the recording was about to change everything. When Sam Heughan finally broke his silence, the world practically stopped breathing. He didn't choose a polished press release, nor a studio-filtered statement. Instead, he posted a simple video, filmed in natural light, wearing no makeup, his expression serious, raw, and undeniably troubled. The moment the video went live, millions clicked at once, the server nearly crashed, and the fandom erupted into collective anxiety. This wasn't promotional Sam. This was a man preparing to confront something deeply personal. He started by admitting he had heard the leaked recording and that, yes, the voices belonged to people involved in the early days of Outlander. His honesty hit like a shockwave. Sam rarely confirmed rumors, and almost never acknowledged internal conflict. But this time, he was done hiding. "I stayed quiet for years," he said quietly, "because I didn't want fans to see the battles happening behind the scenes." His voice wavered, not from insecurity, but from the weight of finally telling a truth he had carried too long. He then explained the context of the recording, revealing that it took place during one of the earliest production meetings before the first season even aired. The network and marketing team were worried that Sam's strong Scottish identity, his thick accent, his Highland upbringing, even his mannerisms, might limit the show's audience reach. They believed global viewers would respond better to a more neutral heroic image. Sam emphasized that this wasn't a request. It was pressure. He revealed moments that fans had never known. Meetings where he was advised to soften his accent. Notes asking him to be less regional during interviews. Suggestions that he present himself as more international, even though everything fans loved about him was tied to his Scottish authenticity. He even recounted being told to adjust his body language, stand straighter, control gestures, speak slower, in order to create a more universal appeal. It wasn't acting direction, it was personal direction. Fans were stunned. Many had assumed Sam's speaking style, polished phrasing, and controlled presence during early press tours were simply professionalism. Now they learned that much of it had been crafted under pressure, shaped by executives who doubted the world would embrace a proudly Scottish leading man. Sam didn't sound angry as he recounted it. He sounded tired of holding in a truth that conflicted with the persona he had been asked to project. But then he dropped the real bombshell. He revealed that he had pushed back hard. He recalled one specific meeting, his voice shaking slightly as he described it, where he stood his ground and told the executives that he would not compromise his cultural identity. "I said no," he explained. "I told them I wasn't going to pretend to be anything but Scottish. Not for marketing, not for image, not for anyone." The executives didn't take it well, and for a moment, Sam admitted he feared he might lose the role of Jamie Fraser altogether. That moment changed everything. He said the consequences mentioned in the recording were real. He was threatened with reduced visibility in promotional materials. He was warned that disagreements might impact future negotiations. He was even told that if he didn't cooperate, the studio would reconsider international marketing strategies, a thinly veiled threat that his portrayal could be overshadowed or minimized. Hearing this, fans felt fury boil inside them. Sam, the man who embodied Scotland's spirit for millions, had been treated like a branding obstacle. Yet Sam didn't cave. He explained that he stayed true to himself because he believed Outlander deserved authenticity. That Scottish culture deserved respect. That Jamie Fraser, as a character, could not exist without the heart and history that shaped him. "I wasn't going to dilute who I was," he said simply. "Not for anyone's comfort." The conviction in his voice sent shivers through every viewer. He then acknowledged the emotional toll the situation took on him. He said he spent years carrying quiet resentment, fear, and frustration, worrying that being fully himself would cost him opportunities. He described nights during filming where he questioned whether he had jeopardized his career. But then he looked directly into the camera and said, "I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of where I come from. And no recording will ever change that." The fandom erupted in support. Messages poured in from Scotland, Ireland, the US, Europe, and beyond. Celebrities shared his video with words of admiration. Even cultural leaders praised him for defending his identity in an industry that often demands conformity. Sam ended the video with a powerful message, one that silenced every critic, soothed every worried fan, and cemented his stance forever. "If telling the truth means taking a risk, then I'll take the risk. My identity is not negotiable." And just like that, the narrative shifted. The scandal stopped being about a leaked recording. It became a story of pride, authenticity, and a man refusing to let Hollywood reshape who he is.